Are live coming here with a brand new Stir the Pod podcast show. I'm your host Trevor, and tonight we are joined by Alex. Alex, how you doing tonight?
Yo, yo, yo.
And we are also joined by Andy. Andy, how you doing tonight?
What up, what up?
And we are here. We're back. Episode 1, Battle of a New Champion. It is exciting. We are here. Fresh blood, fresh meat. No winners. We're back, baby. We're back. There's no other comments? Just that's it? You boys are just stunned?
We're back. I mean, look, it's always good to get the episode 1, butterflies out of the way. I feel like we've been waiting, 9 months to do an episode recap, and so it felt good. I think the episode itself was a bit underwhelming. I feel like it was not as good as we usually get from episode 1. I feel like episode 1 is usually like a cheat code. They're always like amazing. This one, I feel like there was about 26 minutes where I could have been fine just cutting it out entirely. But nonetheless, it does feel good to kick us off here and start a new season.
If only, a 60-minute episode. But, I don't know who's been saying all that stuff. But, Andy, your thoughts?
No, I mean, ever since we did the preview show, I've just been looking forward to this moment. I woke up today so excited. I thought it was a good episode. I'm excited for the season being back. I think Alex is right. The chat's right. I thought there was about 30 minutes of filler time. My two favorite things of any given episode 1 is the house run. And we got that a little bit, but it didn't seem too chaotic. And then the second thing that I love is the night 1 shenanigans. People getting drunk, people jumping in the pool, tops coming off. We got none of that. So that's, again, like there is a formula for episode 1, and I don't think they necessarily followed it, but we're back. I'm excited. This is going to be a great season.
Yeah, I'm excited. I know. When did we record? Friday night?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're back at it. We're back in full swing. Next Wednesday, all season long, follow Stir the Pod. We'll be live every episode, so we're excited. We're ready to do this thing. I think our over-under of the season. Do we want to do a couple of the props just to remind the people of what we had this season?
Well, this season, you mean like the ones we did on our preview show?
Correct.
So we had number of episodes, which obviously we're going to get to. People getting kicked off, elimination wins by mercenaries, and unique challengers called via FaceTime. So we're still at, aside from episodes, we're still at 0 for all of them.
Cool. Just wanted to throw that out so people can follow along at home, and once it pops up on their screen, we can chalk it off the board. So, all right, with that being said, let's dive right into tonight's episode. The episode kind of starts off with TJ walking into the pit. They're all kind of hungover. Is it almost now, Alex or Andy, is it almost essential that you have to watch episode 0? Like, I feel like it's kind of like I don't want to say to be continued, but like, you're kind of like, okay, why are these people hungover? Oh, this is why. And it kind of shows a little glimpse of 8 hours ago, 7 hours ago, etc. But is it forcing us to, watch that?
I don't think it is. And the reason is because I think had we watched it, yes, I think we're a little better informed, but I think we can gather everything we need to know from TJ's little intro. It's kind of like when you're in high school and you get extra credit and, and the social studies teacher says, you don't have to do it, but it will help your grade. But like, again, you don't have to do it. I don't have to watch episode 0 to get anything that's actually going to help me with understanding what's going on tonight.
I thought you were going to say it was like high school, like syllabus day. Like day 1, everyone shows up, nothing happens. It's a great day to skip. And then it really gets started on day 2. So I hope they don't try doing it. It could easily be another way for the challenge to just expand the seasons, which wouldn't put any of us in a shock. But yeah, I don't think we necessarily missed much. except for some pretty solid hookups, which we got a couple highlights in the montage leading up to today.
Yeah, I'm excited. Alex, sorry, I was reading something and it just completely got off the rails. So yeah, going into the season, TJ's walking in, he's all pissed. It kind of gave me that. I really wanted him to be more pissed off, kind of like Invasion. When he kind of runs back, like, what the hell is everybody? What was the exact line he said there in Invasion?
I think he said, "What the fuck is going on here?"
Yeah, when they like stopped doing the beads, like I wanted something more of that. But I feel like now more and more of this challenge era or whatever, Teach comes in, they're all delusional or whatever, and we're going straight to the first challenge, which I like. I like just getting right at it, even before they go to the house. So we go to the challenge, and then TJ kind of explains how the season's being played this year. And Alex, remind me again, what are the 3 tiers or whatever? And I don't even know if I fully understand all 3 yet. The chaos, the what's the other 2?
So yeah, I mean, it's just classic, challenge, like putting shit where it doesn't need to be. Like, we don't need to actually say these things, but TJ says there's going to be 3 levels to this season. The first is control, the second is chaos, and the third is conquest. And if I had to guess, I would feel like chaos is going to be when the champs come in. The start of chaos is going to be that. Conquest, I think conquest makes sense to be the third one because you're winning a final, but he also said, like, you can add money in control, but also in conquest. So I don't know. I feel like they're just jumping all over the place. But yeah, I think the 3 C's are going to be something that, they say over and over again all season.
Yeah. What's our thoughts on that? Is that just the classic stupid challenge thing, or Andy, thoughts?
So when he was describing it, I thought he meant on like a per episode basis.
And that's what I thought.
And thought that made sense. Like control, do the chat, do the daily, chaos, all the deliberation, and then conquest being the elimination. But it seemed like control and conquest were the exact same. Both are essentially just to win money. And I think chaos, and honestly, if chaos is when the former champs come in, I like that a lot. Like, you trim off the early fat in the first few episodes, and then you've got, 60% of the people left, and then the champs come in and just whack off like half of who's left. And then the only people who are decent end up going into the final third of the season. So I think that could be good, but I don't know. This seems like almost like a challenge gimmick, believe it or not.
God. So diving right into the first challenge itself, we got a good old-fashioned mud pit where, you basically got to get every single person across and then solve the puzzle. Wow. Episode 1, who would have thought? That would have been a great over-under if we would have gotten a puzzle this episode. That was a missed opportunity by us. So what are our initial thoughts on this? And also, on top of that, what is like our thoughts on pass or fail with this daily challenge? Do we like that? Do we not? So I'll give the floor to Alex first on his thoughts.
Yeah, well, I think the one other important thing in terms of describing the rules is the fact that TJ says it's something they've never done before, which is everybody is on the same team, which I feel like it is true and false in different ways. But to be fair, like, all 24 people, they're not partners. They're not 3 big teams. They're not 4 teams. They're all competing together. And like you said, it's, the big mud pit challenge. It did give me vibes of Invasion, which I feel like is going to be the season that we talk about all season here. Obviously with the champions coming in and everything. And the first challenge on Invasion, I feel like was similar to this. I feel like they were working together. So clearly not the first time. They were working on the same team. They were climbing up like a mud wall and everything. But overall, I liked it. And I feel like if you're going to say everybody is on the same team, you kind of have to start it with something like this.
Yes, Andy, thoughts?
I think for day one, I like it. Nobody really knows each other. It is just going to be a lot of chaos. you're kind of forcing them to work together and communicate, which obviously was a shit show. I do think that pass fail is going to be my preferred choice for these. And like I could see them doing, like a percentage system. If it's something like, fill up a tank or like put watermelons in a big jug, you know what I mean? Something where you could like easily like quantitate it. But I like pass fail. It's did you do it? Did you not do it? And I think that's going to be what would make these interesting. But it'll also be interesting, like going down the season. There's no way they're going to be doing team challenges on every one of these. So if it's two teams going at it and it's pass fail, does it then become money goes to a separate pot, or do they just get control over who gets voted in? You know what I mean? Like, I don't see this being a consistent format for the dailies. You get what I'm saying?
Is it going to turn into, correct me if I'm wrong, challenge historians, ruins where you had individual bank accounts, right?
They did
could.
do that. Yeah.
And that would make sense, Trev, because when the champs come in, they're coming in to take money. It wouldn't really make sense for them to come in and take money from the team pot, because that just kind of discredits, like if Horacio is not touched and he loses money, that doesn't make sense. But to your point, if they've got, Hui with a, $5,000 bank account and CT smacks him,
that's the easiest 5K or CT's ever won.
I think that's going to be the route they go down.
I think part of the chaos is not only going to be the champions coming in for the elimination, but I think it's going to be the abolishing of we're all one team. I think they're going to start to do like, at whatever time they get brought in, however many people are left, they're going to figure it out and just sort of, do on the fly, like these 3 people are a team for this challenge, or like we're going to do, solo for this challenge. And then like as the, CT Durrells of the world are coming in, I think that's all going to happen sort of at once.
Yeah. Talking about the actual elimination or challenge, excuse me. One thing I didn't understand, you're helping them climb out in the mud pit, and then the girls are starting to do the puzzle. Why would you not do the puzzle on the ground?
So
that's what I said.
But what do you mean do the puzzle on the ground? I'll be honest. I'm not exactly sure. Like, do you mean get them in order to slide them up in the right way?
Because if you put them on the ground, you can at least move it around easily. Instead, you're putting the pull up. Okay, this is there. Just line them up on the ground flat.
All right, Trev. I mean, that is straight plagiarism from what I said. And the biggest problem is because they didn't have a vet who right out of the gate said, leave everything on the ground. That's when we do the puzzle. Then we put them in. But that's what happens when you have a bunch of rookies who don't know what they're doing, running around barking orders at each other. Because that seemed to be a big struggle. They were slippery. They were heavy. So if you had to make changes and take everything out and take everything as opposed to just roll it over each other.
Yeah, that was something I thought of that I just don't understand why they do. But initial thoughts. So yeah, I thought they were going to finish that daily challenge, and I was so ready for Tej to be like, this was one of the closest daily challenges of all time. Like, there was no way it was down to they were putting the last pull in on like a second lap. I mean, come on.
Well, it was kind of a fake out, because didn't they went to a commercial as they were like pulling the guys up, and it seemed like that was going to be the piece of the puzzle that prevented them from winning the challenge. But then it's like they got everybody up and there was still like 2 minutes or something left, and then it was the girls, who had basically the entire time, maybe 8 minutes of the 10 minutes to figure out the puzzle, and they couldn't. And that's like, and so it ended up that being the half of the challenge that ended up costing them the win.
Do we know what part of the puzzle was wrong? Did they like circle it or highlight it or anything? Like,
there's definitely a few that were in the wrong place. I feel like they had like an 85%. But again,
I'm almost thinking it was kind of like, like Mario Party, where you got to like go on the outside of like the shape or whatever.
Yeah, the
You
cookie
gotta
cutter.
get like, yeah, exactly.
But it's pass fail.
So, anything else from this daily that we can take away? I mean, they got no money. They couldn't get the 50K. Anything else?
So here's one thing that I would say. No one, a few people stood out in a negative way. I don't think anyone stood out in a positive way. We'll get to this later in MVPs, but like I'm always keeping notes on my phone. I was struggling to figure out who I thought had a good episode, and I don't think anyone really had a good daily. Like you could maybe say, what's that guy's name? Chara or Charin or something like that.
Sierra.
Yeah. Sierra, like, developed a plan, but I mean, he developed the plan. He's the brains behind it. He got blamed for that later. It was essentially two guys help up the girls. Like he's not a rocket scientist. But like nobody stood out. Nobody took charge of the puzzle of anything. The only person who like you could maybe point to would be Jay from like almost getting torn in half. But I mean, that was my take. Like, do you guys think anyone had a good performance in the daily?
No, and I think Jay had one of the worst performances. Like,
Agree.
there was like 7 guys pulling him up. The little bar is like past his elbow. It's like, just grab the freaking thing. Like, how much more room do you need? But yes, I agree. Go ahead.
I think Sierra earned a few brownie points just for at least volunteering to try to be a leader of this group. But I think the problem you had is like if you were to redo this exact challenge with, let's say, just the average casting pool from the last 8 seasons. So like you have some rookies, you have Bananas, you have Fezzi, Josh, whatever. Like what's going to happen is the same thing that happened here where everybody is trying to be in charge. But at some point, especially in the last 3-4 minutes, the voices of Bananas and Ashley and Wes, they're all just going to drown out everybody else. And everybody else is going to, initially think that they have the right input and the right ideas. But unless they like definitively do, they're going to start backing out. And like Bananas will start calling the shots and saying like, all right, you put this thing there. Or like, even if it's not doing that, he'll say like, all right, these 3 girls are in charge of the puzzle. Everybody else get out of their way. Derek, Leroy, you pick up the things and move them wherever they say. Like that's the type of shit that the veterans and the champions are doing. And everybody here is more or less on the same playing field. So nobody is like deferring to anybody else at this point.
Yeah, but who is going to be that person?
I don't think we're going to have it. I think that's what's going to hopefully will be one of the more
cluster this entire year.
Entertaining things of the season. Yeah.
So somebody's going to do it, but I don't think you can confidently pick a person, guy or girl. Because at the end of the day, when you are that person, the most important thing is you have to show up. Like Bananas didn't earn that voice because he's the loudest. He earns it because what he says is right. Whereas like these people, you're probably going to have some people who just come in and try to like yell and yell and yell, but you have to be smart. And these people seem like idiots.
Anything else from the daily?
We got a couple nice butt shots. I've always been a big fan.
Andy, thoughts on Jesse Adams' question right now? He wants your opinion of the 4 ladies, Olivia, Mariah, Michelle, and Berna. I know who's last.
So Olivia, Mariah, Michelle are all just missiles. I think Mariah might be I think I'm going Mariah, Michelle, Olivia, and then everyone else on the show, maybe not everyone, but a lot of people. And then Berna is way low. I mean, Berna got the braces. She's just, she doesn't have it this year. She just doesn't have it. But Mariah is coming out of the bullpen throwing 103.
And that was Andy's lady talk for tonight's episode. So maybe we'll have to make that into a segment. So moving on, we go to the house. And then, you have the classic mad dash to the house. And, Andy kind of hinted at it earlier. It was like, this whole next 40, 30 minutes was very weak. Like, I felt like nothing really big happened. We talk about great moments of doing the mad dash, doing the speech, doing, just everybody blacking out or whatever. And it just didn't happen tonight. I feel like the biggest things that happened was Berna, she was freaking out. You kind of had a little Callum and Michelle kind of fling going on, and then Callum talking backstage to his girlfriend or whatever. So there's a lot to unpack, but like at the same time, there wasn't really that much. Like, and I was kind of upset by that. Alex, I know you're smirking a little bit. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, from the time we got back to the house to the time we got to the elimination, which is when the actual votes are happening, like just on, out of the 90 minutes, including commercials, it was probably from like minute 30 to minute 60. Like at least a good 30 minutes of just a whole lot of nothing. And I think the problem they had was the first few minutes were fun because they were all running back to the house, but they did this like weird editing producer thing where like they had the music playing in the background like they were running into the house and they were going to be drinking and like, partying and going to the pool. But then they kept alternating that with like shots of Colleen talking to Berna and shots of like Corey talking to Ed from the circle. And like, they didn't like decide, the first 15 minutes of this segment is just going to be party. No challenge talk, no voting talk. Just have them at the pool, have, Mariah taking her top off, jumping in, like do that. And then shift to 10, 15 minutes of the house talking about who they're going to vote for. Instead, they tried to mash it all together, and it just didn't work because it felt slow, it felt unproductive, the music was going on, and it was just ended up being a waste of like 25 minutes.
Yeah, and here's the thing. We didn't get like the classic montage of music playing and everyone drinking, taking shots. We didn't get any of that, which if you're not going to show that, okay, well, make it entertain or make it part of the game. Like if you're not going to go down the entertainment route, double down on the game aspect of it. That there was a Berna and Kim or Colleen, Kim, which there's a Berna and Kim conversation where it was nothing but Berna just venting to Kim. And then when Kim tried to give suggestions, she was like, no, I just wanted to vent. It's like, so why the fuck are we watching you vent? You're not even talking game. You're talking about just like your feelings. I'm not watching the show to watch your fucking feelings. Do you see the rest of the cast? That's what I want to watch. You got a pool. You got endless amounts of booze. Put it together.
Wow. No love from Andy.
This was a big miss entertainment-wise for episode 1. I think we can all agree with that. Like episode 1 is usually the most entertaining of them all, just strictly from a get drunk and do stupid shit perspective.
And I don't want to get into it, but I feel like, and I don't want to bring this up now, maybe I should wait till the end, but I'm going to do it anyway, is Alex hinted earlier how very episode 1, episode 2, episode 3 is we're high, we're on that roller coaster, you're going up and up, it's exciting, we're back. Should we be a little worried with how this episode played out?
We should be. And we should be because, to your point, like the 30 to 60 minute mark that we're describing right now, in episode 13, 14, that's the worst part of every season. But in episode 1 of every season, that's oftentimes the best because it's everybody new. We're getting introduced to them. They're, getting naked and hooking up. And they just sort of danced around it. So I feel like, I don't know if it's something that we need to be worried about, but I think it's something we need to be monitoring.
Like, I feel like what season what season was it when we had literally a challenges back beater?
Um,
I'm sorry.
I do think so. Here's the most worrisome is I do think this is a sign of what's to come, but I think this is probably the hottest cast that we've had in years. So the fact that we're not going to get the drunken shenanigans and it's tempered the expectations. And again, the filler that they had was dumb filler. It wasn't even relevant to the game.
So what about this? Here's my idea. We do for the 30-minute filler in the middle of the episode, we do just a quick little like 1 minute rapid fire around the table of all the little small topics.
Bombs
So-
away.
so
Throw it at us.
First one, Michelle and Callum.
I mean, just an odd couple to begin with. Callum, I mean, clearly cheating on his girlfriend at home, not a good look. And Michelle just falling for it.
So why the hell did we not see more? Like they talked about, Michelle didn't go to bed last night. Callum didn't go to bed last night. Primetime MTV would have been showing us damn near everything but penetration. Like we saw nothing. We saw them chit-chatting and then that was it. And then it was like, oh, well, what'd they do? And then Callum, when he was talking, I think in a confessional, he was like, I didn't screw up. Like, this wasn't my fault. This was your guys' fault for putting Michelle on. Something happened based on how he was talking. So why the hell did they not actually show it?
I think they were just kind of laying the breadcrumbs out for us, and it's just kind of a episode 4, 5, 6 that we'll see what happens.
Yeah, but I mean, do you not remember when the cameraman got on top of like the AC to get the camera over to see Ashley and Jamie hooking up in the bathroom?
They got on the NC?
No, the AC.
Oh.
Like they climbed up to get a shot of it, and now we're not getting anything past them talking. That made me mad about that topic.
God, Andy was just looking for all the drama this episode, and he really came up short for him. And us, honestly.
They let me down.
Wow. All right, Alex, anything you want to say about that or next? Moving on.
Let's move on to just Berna's meltdown. I thought she was going to quit for a good 5 minutes there. I thought she was done for.
I feel like I think we've kind of already hit on it. It was just so unnecessary. Like, what was the point of throwing that in there? To fill the 90 minutes?
It's not like the challenge to foreshadow.
All right, moving on. Next.
What else is there? Well, I feel like
the toast.
Yes, Jay's toast. Go ahead.
His cheer.
One of the worst toasts. I actually think it might have been the worst toast. I think I would have taken here he over that. So,
but has it begun? Yes, it has.
His toast was pretty bad, and it was so bad that somebody, Jessica or somebody chimed in afterwards and said, "Here's my toast to actually make Jay's shitty toast sound even worse because I'm gonna upstage him."
Yeah,
I don't think that's ever been done before.
Right after the toast is usually when we start seeing the drinking games and people start, getting drunk and fighting and hooking up. And then next thing you know, we've got Kim consoling a Burnham meltdown. Get that off my screen.
It's almost like, you're in a game or whatever, and all the momentum's coming, and you need that hot timeout, that hot music, and you literally just drop like the worst song possible, like literally. And I agree with Andy. Like, you're riding this momentum, keep it going. Why bring it down? Like, give me more alcohol, give me the people going crazy, and we didn't get that tonight.
And the majority of what we saw was them talking about these votes. And it was going to be, the guys going after Big T or Berna. And then it was Big T, the mastermind, saying that we need to go after the guys. Well, guess what? None of that even happened. So literally all of that 30 minutes was pointless.
Yeah. So moving on. Anything else real quick, Alex, that you want to throw out there, or are
I
we
mean,
good to talk
I
about
feel like it slowly just sort of morphs into
the
the
deliberation?
voting discussions, and then deliberation. I was completely disappointed. Maybe I wasn't paying attention to what TJ said in the beginning. I was so mad when they finally went into deliberation, spent 15 minutes there talking about who was going to be voted in and everything, and then they still didn't vote. And they had to wait to elimination. And like McCord said earlier, they had 30 minutes deciding who's going to vote for who. And we just don't fucking need that.
Yeah, what is our thoughts on the actual deliberation and not just going in? What is our thoughts? Do we like that or no?
Personally, I do, because I think it makes for a good full season. Like, you get people voting for each other. It puts more of an emphasis on alliances, and I always like that aspect of this game. So I think there's going to be a lot of that. What do you guys think? But I also like if you lose the daily, you go in. I don't think we're going to get that this season. I think this is the perfect alternative.
I love everybody playing their cards and actually being in the room. Now, I feel like in years past we've done the stuff where you go into the confession room, you place your vote or whatever, nobody sees it. Now it's a good change of pace that I like. So, Alex, anything?
I'm worried for next episode 3, episode 4, because I just don't want this to be the norm. I don't want there to be 30 minutes debating on who to vote in, a 15-minute deliberation, and then we finally get to the elimination ground and vote in. I want something. I want the formula for these episodes to be different.
So, did you like the actual deliberation, like how it's done though? Not necessarily how long it was. Obviously, we understand it was too long, but
I like the deliberation itself because I feel like that's when the episode started to pick back up again, because people were talking to each other in a huge group. Everybody had to kind of say what they were thinking. But then I felt like it was just anticlimactic because nothing ever happened. They didn't go around a circle and vote. They just sort of, 5 people said their thoughts and then they moved to commercial.
I see what you're saying, Andy. Anything?
Wait, yeah, I forgot about the deliberation. That was so pointless. All of that was pointless. The only thing it did is it gave Jessica the opportunity to just put her head on a pedestal for them to chop off. And that's exactly what happened. Which hopefully, you just saw that unfold and you're like, you're a rookie, you're an idiot, you don't know what you're doing. I would like to see a few more instances of that happening, because you don't get that in a regular challenge. You don't get somebody going up there and pleading their case when they really don't have to. But it's kind of smirky for me to see that, because it's like, you're an idiot. You deserve to go home.
Yeah. What do we think about that deliberation with Jessica? Her comments.
I mean, if she literally would have just not said a single word, she's still there after tonight.
So if she didn't say a word, do we think Big T would have been the house vote?
I think so.
I think
Her
probably her or Berna. But it's tough because the whole reason Jessica ended up being the group vote was because Berna had the first vote somehow. And she said Jessica's name and everybody just followed.
Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. I still think Jessica would have gone in tonight regardless. I think she would have been voted in by the person who would have been called down is what I'm getting at. If Big T was called down, she would have voted in Jessica to go against. Do we disagree with that?
She
pretty
probably
good.
I think it would have been interesting if Berna would have went down then it could have been like, is she going to go Jessica or she's going to go Big T?
Yeah.
So
Should we
I
get into? Go ahead.
Well, just one small comment that I've got the chat talking about the money that they're going to win, because TJ said one person's winning minimum 300 grand and it was crickets, which I'm just thinking about it. It's such a perfect like testament to how dumb these people are. 300K for one person is an absurd amount of money. If he would have said like a group of 5 will win $1 million, they would lose their minds because they're just idiots. You get what I'm saying? Like they would get way more excited for splitting $1 million with 4 different people and making less money than one person making 300 grand. And then they would probably say in their confessionals, I don't know what I'm going to do with $1 million. And it's like, you're not getting $1 million.
That's
But
so true.
that's just kind of a nod to how much of idiots these people are. So what were you going to say we're going to get into?
I was going to say I think we moved to the elimination ground, which I don't know if we got a name for this season. Did we?
I don't think so. Not yet.
Is it just so? What do we say now? The gauntlet. Should we just call it whatever we want?
the
I'll
Inferno,
call it the gauntlet. You guys call it the arena, Inferno, whatever.
the Killing Floor,
Presidio,
the Dome.
Oh, I like the dome.
jungle.
God.
They just gave up.
the proving ground. God, honestly, you know what it's going to be called? Chaos.
It's got to be another C, considering it's chaos or control, chaos, conquest, and challenge.
Callum.
Wilson. All right. So then we go to the elimination.
Yes. So the elimination itself starts with the voting, of course, and Jessica gets voted in. So Jessica's now on the. God, I need a name for it. Can we just call it something? The Killing Floor.
I like the cage. Okay, Squid with the
cage. All right.
Cage.
So Jessica gets voted into the cage, and essentially she gets to call out anybody to go against, which I love. I think that's a great part of this game. I love that. We'll see how long it lasts. You know, once we start getting these mercenaries, it could end. So we'll get into that. But the elimination itself, honestly, and I texted the group chat after this elimination, I think this was one of the worst eliminations I've ever seen on the challenge. I didn't even get the point of half of it. You're literally throwing these blocks or these tiles off for what? To see the glass beneath you, and then you're just pulling, you know, who can get the more rope on what were they even on? What was it, like a pedestal, or I don't even know what it's called. Platform, yeah. Platform 9 3/4. So like literally one of the worst eliminations I've ever seen. Andy, what's your thoughts?
I agree. I mean, this was up there with like the duct tape chair, where it was just like, what are we doing? Like, it wasn't. And honestly, even if it was a tight race, I still don't think it would have been entertaining. Like, it kind of sucked. I thought when you threw off the tiles, they were going to be a puzzle that you've got to make on the ground or something like that, which would have been classic challenge. But it was just, no, you just pull these off, then you pull the rope to get the hammer, and then you break down. It was like, okay, that right there is sending someone home. Okay.
What was the over under? 22 seconds?
Probably. I didn't even think about that.
It was pretty bad. I was convinced it was going to be a to be continued because there was like 2.5 minutes left before TJ even like started introducing the rules. I mean, I agree with what both you guys said, so I don't really have anything to add on to the elimination itself. But the only piece of solace I guess we can find in this is just the fact that it's episode 1 in verbal elimination for Big T versus Jessica. So like if we have bad eliminations baked into this season, might as well get them out early and get them out for, bad competitors. So at least this, wasn't a hall brawl. Like I don't think even if this was a hall brawl, it probably wouldn't be that entertaining. So like just get the bad ones out of the way right now.
And one thing that I also didn't understand is, and we've seen like a, break the ground, blow you and fall through it, but it's always very thick where you literally have to just like hit it and hit it. This second C, or not CT, Big T, got the hammer. She like tapped it and it was broken. How do you not even accidentally fall through that?
I have no idea, Andy. Literally, I don't understand the. So Big T had a hammer.
That's what they pulled on the rope. They pulled on the rope to get the hammer.
To get the hammer to knock down.
Yeah. So the one thing that also just was kind of like, come on, is after they did this, TJ's talking to everybody and he's saying Big T would have won this against any girl or any guy. Come on, TJ. Come on. You really think Big T, she would lose to half of these girls if she did this again? But it's a fluky elimination. But to say that she's beating any girl or any guy here in that performance, come on.
Let me go this route with you, Andy. If you could pick any challenger all time for this elimination, who would you pick to get
to win it?
Yeah, like you could go against anybody.
Honestly, I hate to say it, but I think Derek would be pretty good. Because getting those tiles off, you kind of just have to be just like a psycho, and he's kind of like a mini Tasmanian devil. So like I could see him literally just like throwing those things out and then just like go, go, go.
I think he'd be a really good one. You know who I just think would be good on this? Old Reliable. The problem is, I understand.
He's got to literally grab the tiles.
If anybody can do it, it's him.
You're not wrong.
So, Mikey the Doctor writes, has TJ gotten soft, Andy?
Yes. He's been soft for years.
I think Alex was on that take last year. I think a few times there were some LVP talks.
No, somebody quit. Somebody quit, and he said, mental health is very important, and like we applaud you for leaving. Get the fuck out of here, TJ. Your whole shtick was that you hate quitters, and now you're going soft. And now you're saying that Big T would have beaten Horacio in this? Give me a break. He was
Alex,
Steve, though.
When you were gone, I asked Andy if you could have any one person for this elimination, who would you have? Be anybody.
I mean, I feel like you could pick the top 6 answers to that, and they'd all be pretty close if they actually went against each other. I'll just say Bananas. He's quick, he's shifty, he knows how to, win eliminations, he knows how to stay calm, knows the right move to make. So I would just go Bananas.
Girl-wise, Emily would be so fucking good at this one.
Maybe Cara.
I like Cara. I like Camilla.
I don't know. Laurel?
I think it helps being small in this.
I agree. Evelyn's a good one.
Who are you going, guys, Trev?
I said Jordan.
Oh, you would actually go Jordan?
I think I would take Jordan on almost anything straight up except maybe pole wrestle. And he has proven to do pole wrestle pretty well. That That's the only elimination that I wouldn't put money on Jordan.
Okay.
Should we get into some segments or anything else from the episode or what?
Segments.
All right, we'll do some segments. I believe the first one tonight is Radar Watch. So again, for any of our new listeners, Radar Watch is one we do early in the season to basically identify any challenger who is flying under the radar. So I feel like usually we let the fans pick the order afterwards. So maybe we just do.
I think Radar Watch we just go because we don't go around and then back.
So I think I'll go.
Go ahead.
I'll go Radar Watch. Again, people flying under the radar. I'm going to go with Mariah. I'm going to go with Mariah. And the thing is, obviously her physical features may not be flying under the radar, but I think her as a human being, which she is, believe it or not, she is flying under the radar. She, all the girls, bickering and fighting, a lot of the guys doing the same. I think she showed some flashes, literally and figuratively, on the screen, but she, as a whole, did not sort of like make her challenge mark on this episode. So I'm going Mariah.
And there was a time where they were all in the room talking about everything, and she was just sitting back, just like, why are you being so casual? There was all this craziness going around, and she was just hanging out. No one was saying her name. Nobody wanted to get her thoughts. She was just like, I'm here for the ride.
I think so. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was going to go ahead with my Radar Watch because I love mine, and I thought you were going to take it.
I think you might.
People forget Chauncey's on this season.
Mm-mm.
I don't think Chauncey said a word. They showed him during the daily, but at first I was like, wait a minute, he is on this, right? But Chauncey was a total afterthought this entire episode.
That's a good pick. That's a great
pick. My Radar Watch is arguably the biggest who of the year. It's Hooey. Talk about somebody I don't even know said a word tonight on the show. Maybe one confessional. There was one confessional.
I think she did the second cheers.
That was her?
Yes, because she's from Argentina, isn't she?
Even when she's on her television screens, she's still under the radar. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, she literally had a prominent speaking role, and we didn't even know who it was. That's awesome.
God. At what episode are we finally going to understand who these characters are?
At least episode 7.
God.
All right. I don't think we do any honorable mentions because I think that sort of takes away from the spirit of it. They should be hiding behind everything. So we'll get into some of our other picks next week.
And I want to bring up another segment of something that isn't on our list tonight, but I wanted to ask Alex, how are we going to do who's Corey's partner this season?
We'll get to that once this Corey actually has a partner.
Can't wait.
I feel once that happens, if he's still around, we'll bring him back.
Can't wait.
All right, so the next segment is This Day in Challenge History, which is basically on October 25th. Did anything happen in the challenge world ever? And there is one episode that occurred. It's hard to make a good trivia question with this, but basically on the challenge season 9. So 30 seasons ago.
9?
Season 9, Battle of the Sexes 2.
Was that when Bananas was like, I don't know how much I got left in me to eat?
Episode 4, there was a male who got eliminated who we all know.
Mark Long.
Who has done a challenge as recent as like 2010 and since then. They've won 2 challenges.
Derek.
They were on. Trying to think of a random season.
Jane.
They were on. What'd you say?
Jane?
Jane?
Shane.
No.
Jane.
They were on Cutthroat. A male challenger. They were also on Bloodlines. They were also on Exit.
Abram.
Yes, I saw McCord. God.
Whoa. I didn't even see the chat. Did McCord say? Oh, yeah, he said it.
That's so
Yeah, so think about that. Abram was on, I think his last season ended up being Bloodlines. I don't know if he's been back since then. So he was on Bloodlines, with Bananas, Kara, all those clowns. And yet we're talking about a season where he got eliminated all the way back in 2004.
Was Bloodlines with Abe where he swam underneath the water and he was in the box with Bananas?
Yes.
That was pretty good.
Fancy seeing you here.
That was good.
I think he's in some sort of institute nowadays.
I think he was.
He was nuts. God, he almost killed Thomas.
I think I think he legitimately got arrested for a couple things. I think he was peeing in public.
That's honestly not bad considering what he could do.
All right, moving on. What else we got, Alex?
I think we're on to MVP LVP.
Wow. Well, chat, you guys know what to do. You're giving us the order tonight of MVP, LVP. And yeah, we'll dive right into that. So anything else we can talk about real quick from tonight's episode?
My biggest takeaway. So actually, let me go this route with you. Let's say this isn't the first episode. Is this coming in at a 3-4? If it's not the first episode, this episode kind of sucked. We're all the way back, and I'm all the way in. But taking away that this was first episode, I think I'm giving it like a 3-4. With the first episode, I'm giving it like a 7-4.
I get your point. I'd probably give it, if it wasn't a first episode, like a 5-1. And then maybe with the first episode boost, like a 6-8-ish, 7-1. But yeah, it was not as good as the first episodes usually are.
And that worries me. That really does.
I'm with you.
Usually we get to this point like 6 episodes from now. But maybe we have to endure this until, Laurel shows up, until Darrell shows up.
And honestly, that is the chaos. And if there's one of those 3 that I want during the mid-season lull, it's chaos. Bless you. Thank you. I want the chaos to get rid of the mid-season lull, which hopefully it will.
Fair. All right, order tonight for MVP, LVP. We got Alex, Trev, Andy. Alex, take it away, MVP.
MVP?
Relax.
I am going to go with, I feel like we've kind of been talking about how just underwhelming this episode was. So I'm going to go with nobody from this cast of challengers. I'm going to go with someone that was brought up 2 times this episode,
No.
even though they're not even on it.
Give me a break.
And I'm going to go with Wes Bergman. It's a bad sign when you have 24 people on here. About half of them, if not more, could be nominated for LVP. And he just kind of sneaks his way in. He was partners with Zaza. And I think it was Big T said she was going to pull a Wes. Like, usually it's Bananas who's not in the season and, his name is sort of lurking around. This time it was Wes. So I'm just going to go MVP for tonight was Wes.
I think there's an easy MVP tonight. And it was just, I know he wasn't your boy, Alex. So I knew you weren't going to take him. But I know him being me and Andy's boy. And just him being back on the show, seeing his flow, it's got to be Ed from the Circle is the MVP tonight. I mean, the dude has a great smile, great team player. People forget he's an engineer. He can outsmart all these people. And also kind of an honorable mention for flying under the radar and radar watch. I don't want to say anything yet, but I'm just waiting.
I thought we were giving no honorable mentions.
Well, I make my own rules. So my MVP tonight, Ed from the Circle. And Alex, let it be known, when we write these in, I want it to be Ed from the Circle.
Oh, yeah.
So,
There's no other Ed.
It always will be.
it's me.
So again, I mentioned this. It was hard to find an MVP from tonight's episode. I'm gonna pick one that stood out to me multiple times, really throughout the whole episode. It was really hard to take your eyes off of it. My MVP is gonna be plastic surgery. I think this cast has a whole lot of it. There's a lot of surgeons in, LA and probably Phoenix, Arizona, who are just raking it in as a result of these clowns. It's eye popping, it's jaw dropping. It has nothing to do with what actually happened, but we're in for a great season as a result of it.
Good pick.
All right, so I'll get us going for LVPs. I mean, again, I've got 5 LVPs to choose from. And there's a lot of talk going into the season. They highlighted it a bunch this episode. These are all challengers who have not won before, and they're all hungry to come out and win their first title. And it's not a lot of rookies. It's a lot of people who have been on the shows. They just don't have a ring. And the one person who is omitted from that cast list, who doesn't have a ring and likely never will get a ring, who in theory, if you're picking challengers who they want to make the face of the show, who haven't won a ring, this person should be on this season. My LVP is going to be Fezzi. He's so bad that he couldn't even get the invite for a tailor-made season for him. And he's sitting at home watching it like the rest of us. It's not my plan to give him LVP often, but just hearing the over and over, I want to get my first ring. I want to get my first ring. I mean, that's Fezzi's motto. And guess what? He ain't getting it this season either.
What was the over under? 1.5, and we're already at 1.
We're getting there.
God. Great pace. My LVP tonight is something that happened before the show even started tonight. And my LVP is ridiculousness. I think it's kind of heartbreaking that they lost their time slot to Catfish, I believe. Me, Alex, Andy, we always do a kickoff shot before McCord, yes, as well. Do a kickoff shot before the episode starts. And, there's nothing better than, cheers in the boys. And then all you hear is, yeah. It's just like a good vibe. And I even think I said tonight when it wasn't happening, I think correct me if I'm wrong. I said, I think the vibes are off tonight.
You did.
So I don't know. I don't know, Jim, but like, I just feel like, it's just a perfect example of the lack of energy. Andy brought up a good point of that guy from the University of Tennessee, but like, it's just, it was just missing. It was just missing. It was something that I really wanted and wasn't there. So
I'm almost like Pavlov's dogs when I hear yeah, 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 yeah. I just get naturally hyped up thinking that the challenge is going to come, and it's not going to happen from, oh my gosh, so it was you all along? I can promise you that much.
God, I know. It's just such a staple. It's like light the smoke. Let's get it going. Like it's just, I don't know. Alex, who you got?
My LVP for tonight is going to be probably the challenger on this season who was just the most dislikable, the most hateable. I'm going to go Berna.
Whoa.
Just a bad hang. Berna is a bad hang, it seems like. I think, we had I think Trevor had her number 2 on the power ranking, so that's taken a big hit.
She's
But
still
just,
here.
it's
8 out of 12.
well, I know you don't like to interrupt, but just it's a bad sign when somebody named Hui is trying to calm you down and is actually being pretty reasonable in doing so, and you're still fucking going back at him. Like, you can't come back from that. And Berna just had a very, very bad showing tonight. The only reason she did not get sent into elimination is because she had the first vote. She got to say a name first, and all these little robots after her, Callum and Colleen and Kim and Sierra and all these guys just get to say the name that they heard before. And so if Berna was not first in line, she's probably gone. She's probably still getting my LVP, but I'm going LVP tonight as Berna.
She was as annoying and unbearable as like Jessica from back in the day. Like, just stop talking. And the braces.
Bless you.
Do we have any honorable mentions? I've got a few LVPs.
I think there's one huge honorable mention. Adam Meadows not showing up tonight.
We can't give him an honorable mention because we give it to him every episode.
You could say the same thing about Fezzi.
Yeah, and guess what? They both have 0 rings.
Well, debatable.
I wanted to give one to Big T. Even though she won, she just like somehow became this mastermind. Like she literally said, like, look, I don't have a mastermind plan. She wasn't lying. She's an idiot. But all these people were like, oh, wait, you don't have a master plan? Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. And then she was like, oh, well, maybe I do, maybe I don't. Like, she's just not smart. And her whole thing about, we have to get out, like, let's rally the troops and nominate a guy. Like, they were wanting to pin this on the girls. The girls didn't do the part of the daily that was needed. That's just a fact. All of the guys were pulling up everyone else. They had 16 of them for Jay. But for her to be like, no, we got to get the guys. We got to get the guys. None of that happened. She's way out over her skis now.
Big T is a great one because I fact checkers here. I think this was her first elimination win. I don't think she had ever won an elimination.
Anissa.
Was she the pig roast? Okay, but yeah, there's an asterisk there, a couple big asterisks. But like, you go into tonight's episode, and like you said, they start with saying, Big T is this mastermind, and she's not. But then she somehow crawls out of elimination. And so now that everybody else in there, all those idiots, are going to be thinking that even more. Like, oh, I don't want to mess with Big T, even though the only thing that's lost to Big T before is Anissa and her, 3-hour buffets. Like, who is scared of that?
She would have been up there for 4 days.
She would still be up there now.
I think so.
All right. Any other honorable mentions?
Yes, I do think we've got to mention Jessica's name. She lost, and she's also the reason that she lost. She would have been just fine if she didn't say a damn word during deliberation, and now she's gone. She was my rookie of the year pick. Thanks a lot.
She was?
Yes, I had her 4.
Oh, come on.
Well, not bad.
Hand up, I was wrong. Takes a big man.
Just like about you losing to Fezzi. Anything else?
Buckle up. We're just getting started.
We're in control level now.
I'm worried, boys. I'm worried. But you know what? We'll still be doing these podcasts, and we'll be here every Wednesday night, right around 9:30 time. So feel free to tune in, leave us a comment, and we'll go from there. So, anything else on tonight's episode? Nothing.
I'm good.
Quiet.
No.
Love you guys.
Let's we're back. We're back. That's all that matters.
All righty. Well,
last thing. I know some people have tuned in, but we're gonna try. We're gonna experiment with the episode pregame. So Twitter Spaces about 5 minutes before each episode. So 7:55 Eastern time before episode 2. Tune into our Twitter.
Perfect. Alex, one last thing. Will we have the streak start next week? Will Big T be the first person to walk through the house?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You heard that first here. Well, thank you guys for listening to a brand new Stir the Pod episode. You can follow us on Twitter at Stir the Pod, and you can follow us on Instagram at Stir_the_pod. Do we still do an IG?
We'll get into that.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys. Love you guys. Shout out to